Trump called them weak. Now, he needs them. There is a special kind of stupidity that only power can conceal for a while. A reckless man insult allies, sneer at treaties, mock shared sacrifice, and call long-standing partners weak or useless. And for years, Trump supporters mistake that behavior for strength. They call it toughness. They call it disruption. They call it leadership, because the performance is loud, and because bluster is always easier to sell than competence. But reality has a way of collecting its debt. Eventually, the same leader who spent a decade telling Americans that our allies were deadweight, freeloaders, and ingrates, ends up doing what frauds always do when the fire reaches their own feet. He turns to the very people he spent years humiliating and asks them to help clean up his mess. That is where Donald Trump has brought the United States.
Our military has virtually destroyed Iran. Tough country. Their air force is gone, totally gone. That took the better part of about 3 hours. They no longer have radar. They don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have anything. Their missiles are down 90%. Their drones are down 85%.
One Aussie cannot help it. This is what he said about Donald Trump.
Trump says the US, in conjunction with many countries, is sending warships to the Strait of Hormuz to keep it open and safe. Trump also calls on China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others to send warships to Hormuz. Oh, this is beautiful. This is the geopolitical equivalent of the guy who starts a bar fight, gets his head put through the pool table, and then looks up at the bouncer with blood pouring out of his nose going, "Are you going to do something about these guys? Let me get this straight. You bombed Iran. You started this. You launched Operation Epic Fury like a kid naming his Nerf gun. You flattened their cities, cratered their infrastructure, killed God knows how many civilians, and now that they've done the one thing that every single analyst on Earth said they would do, close the Strait of Hormuz. You're asking China for help? China, the country you've spent 3 years tariffing into oblivion. The country you called an enemy of civilization. You want them to send warships to protect your oil supply chain? In what universe does Xi Jinping take that phone call and not just put it on speaker so the whole room can laugh? And here's the bit that should be printed on a plaque and hung in the Smithsonian under the heading, "Weapons Grade Cognitive Dissonance Dipshit." Direct quote from the man himself. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability. Next sentence. Literally the next sentence. But it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along, or in, this waterway. I'm sorry, what? You destroyed 100% of their military capability, and they can still mine one of the most important shipping lanes on the planet? What kind of shit maths is that? That's not 100%, mate. That's not even close to 100%. If you hired a pest exterminator and he said, "I've eliminated 100% of the termites, but they can still eat your house," you'd want your money back. He calls the strait closure an artificial constraint. Artificial. Brother, there is nothing artificial about it. You dropped bombs on a sovereign nation, and they blocked a choke point that carries 20% of the world's oil. That's not artificial. That's called consequences. That's cause and effect. That's the thing that happens after the thing you did. Toddlers understand this concept. You touch the stove, you get burned. You bomb Iran, they close Hormuz. This is not complicated, and the absolute cheek of calling Iran, a nation that has been totally decapitated, while simultaneously admitting they're holding the entire global energy market hostage with speedboats and sea mines. Pick a lane, Donald. Either they're decapitated or they're not. You don't get to claim total victory and beg France for naval escorts in the same paragraph. Speaking of France, and Japan, and South Korea, and the UK.
Hundreds have been killed, millions displaced, billions of dollars spent, the war expanding across the region. The U.S. military says 13 service members have been killed. Tonight, President Trump renewed calls for countries that rely on oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz to send warships to secure the shipping route. The strategic waterway now largely blocked for oil exports. CBS's Charlie D'Agata is in Tel Aviv and leads us off tonight. Charlie, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. Tonight, President Trump is calling on countries from the UK and France, South Korea, and Japan, even China, to help keep open the Strait of Hormuz, that vital shipping lane, as Iran tries to strangle the flow of oil from this region. Thick black plumes of smoke rose into the sky above the United Arab Emirates, the major oil port of Fujairah, in flames as the Gulf states bear the brunt of a war they didn't start. President Trump said a U.S. bombing raid totally obliterated military targets on Iran's Karg Island, a key oil facility, while leaving its energy infrastructure untouched. Iran, in turn, threatened to target U.S.-linked regional oil facilities. It's already attacked at least 16 tankers and other vessels.
Seeing they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with. We have been dealing with it and don't need to worry about it.
But the world is worrying about it as the price of gas climbs higher, with consumer goods expected to be more costly soon, putting the defense secretary on the defensive.
Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course.
They're literally, you walk over from Iran to Qatar. You can walk it in 1 second. You go boom, boom, and now you're in Qatar.
This is Iran. This is Qatar. This is the Persian Gulf, which is 119 miles across. It's 160 feet deep. You can't walk across it. And that was the moron who's taking our troops to war.
I'm glad he is not my president. He's only president of MAGA Americans, as he keeps insisting. Oh well.